Hello, thanks for joining me today for this brief update on the Ukraine war's eastern front in the Donetsk Oblast. Russian forces have intensified offensive operations in the Donetsk region. They have started to widen their southern flank, approaching Pokrovsk to the south and west of the city of Donetsk. That's this whole region right here, from Ukrainsk down along the periphery of the Russian-held region to Volodar. This may be considered a secondary effort, secondary to the seizure of Pokrovsk, that is. But as we may see, this secondary effort may actually facilitate the seizure of Pokrovsk by building out the southern flank. In Volodar, Russian forces have intensified the most and are skirting this road right here up to the H-15, which is the Russians are looking at as a major avenue of approach into Kharkov, with possible connection up to Pokrovsk. If we pan out, you can see what they're trying to do, and that is to fill in the salient between Ukrainsk and Volodar. If you remember, the Russians conducted an unsuccessful mechanized assault into Volodar in 2023, so this little village also has some symbolic meaning to its seizure. Up north, the town of Kharkov is going to be an objective of the Russians with this secondary effort, as its seizure would remove a major defensive point away from Ukrainian forces. It's likely that the seizure of Kharkov will allow Russian forces to fix on Ukrainian forces seeking to reinforce Pokrovsk. All this looks like shaping operations for a major offensive into Pokrovsk. So if we remember, Pokrovsk is the prize. I discussed that in a previous episode. Pokrovsk is something of a logistics hub and or gateway to the Donetsk Oblast, with the convergence of two major highways and a very large RTP, or rail transfer point. From an operational perspective, it looks like things are accelerating. Russian forces seem to be doubling down on the eastern front as Putin receives pressures of the initial failures in defending against the Kursk counteroffensive. The Kremlin seemed to have been caught off guard by the counteroffensive, as they took nearly 2 weeks to organize a real defense. Now there's estimates of between 30,000 and 60,000 Russian troops in defense of the Kursk. They seem to really want to demonstrate that the Kursk counteroffensive had zero impact on offensive operations on the Eastern Front, but it likely did. This has probably been masked by an artificially pushed intensity of effort from the 1st Army headquarters, which operates out of Donetsk City. Another indicator of the operational level of Russian doubling down is the delegation of authority to use the Iskanders missile systems. These corps or even theater level assets have been delegated to brigade or even regiment commanders as a new policy for their use at their discretion. The Iskander is a hypersonic ballistic missile system capable of speeds of up to 4,500 miles per hour. It has a 500-kilometer range. So the Iskanders are a tremendous capability and a tremendous asset to operational strategic forces that have now been delegated down to almost a tactical level. It's highly unlikely that Iskanders can be taken out as they travel at speeds of up to Mach 6. There's one update from up north around Kharkiv, and that's Ukrainian forces advance northeast of Lipsy. There's one update from the Kursk region, and that is that Ukrainian forces advance south of Spalnoy. And that will conclude this brief tactical to operational update for September 6th. I'm thinking about a new methodology of providing shorter but more frequent updates covering the tactical to operational operations in Ukraine. There's so much information provided out there that sometimes it's best to stick to the granular and save the more analytical updates for a bi-monthly or even monthly frequency. Anyways, thanks for watching and see you next time.